Blind girl, abandoned by stepmother in market, discovers amazing friendship with President's son. Emma stood frozen in the middle of the bustling market, the sounds of people hurrying by swirling around her like a storm. "Excuse me." Someone called, bumping into her shoulder. Laughter from children pierced the air, and the distant honking of cars turned into a cacophony that echoed in her mind. Just moments ago, she was holding her stepmother's hand, navigating through the crowds, but now she was lost. Alone. Abandoned. Her heart raced, and she fought back tears. The feelings of betrayal twisted painfully in her stomach. Where was Sarah? She could almost hear her mother's soothing voice, reminding her to stay calm, to breathe. The warmth of her mother's embrace. Gone. The aroma of fresh bread wafting from the nearby bakery turned sour in the pit of her stomach. Despair washed over her. She wondered if she'd ever feel safe and cherished again. In the midst of her turmoil, a figment of hope emerged, crashing into her reality. "Hey, are you okay?" It was a boy's voice, warm and inviting, cutting through her confusion. "I saw you standing here all alone." Emma felt a lightness in her heart, an intriguing curiosity about this boy. She answered, her voice clear, "No, I'm lost." "Come on, let me help," he said. He guided her gently through the chaos. "I'm Jake." "Emma," she replied, the name escaping her lips like a soft whisper. They walked side by side, and as he shared stories of his privileged life as the president's son, laughter bubbled between them. For the first time that day, Emma felt a sense of belonging. She forgot the betrayal that had just torn her world apart. Instead, she reveled in the shared moments and easy laughter, a friendship blooming amidst uncertainty. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. That first day together evolved into countless adventures of friendship forged under the sun, laughter echoing through their shared dreams. But as their bond deepened, the shadows crept in. Whispers filled the air. Media outlets caught wind of their friendship, spinning stories into dramatic headlines. Judgment hung over Emma like a thundercloud, swirling talks of privilege and prejudice. The very foundation of their relationship trembled under the scrutiny of a world too quick to place labels. Jake felt the crushing weight of expectations. Was he betraying his future? Meanwhile, Emma faced rumors that made her question her worth and belonging. The once bright colors of their friendship faded under the harsh glare of public perception, leaving her feeling more alone than ever. Then, just when everything felt lost, the unthinkable happened. Her community, her neighbors, those who knew her heart, came together. They marched to her side, rallying around her like defenders in a time of war. Emma's spirit ignited, her heart pounding with renewed strength. Could friendship survive this storm? As she navigated the complexities of love, acceptance, and judgment, one question lingered: would she and Jake rise above the confines of a society intent on dividing them? Emma felt the fierce pulse of determination igniting within her, propelling her toward a future only she could define. The chance to reclaim her narrative beckoned, fraught with uncertainty but powered by the fierceness of friendship. Would their bond endure? The sun dipped low in the sky, casting an orange glow that wrapped around Emma and Jake like an embrace. They stood side by side on the steps of her neighborhood community center, looking out at the homecoming parade filling the streets with laughter and cheers. The vibrant colors danced in Emma's mind, a jigsaw puzzle of happiness she could almost piece together in her heart. "This is the best!" Jake exclaimed, his excitement palpable. She could sense his joy more than see it. The sound of drums and festive music surged through her, igniting a spark in her soul. "Yeah, it's amazing," Emma replied, smiling despite the heaviness resting like stones on her chest. The town was celebrating their high school sports team, a team she had watched from the sidelines, never quite part of it but always secretly cheering. The cheers were a reminder of what she felt had been taken from her. As the parade passed by, excitement filled the air. Colorful floats, cheerful wave after wave of students, and community members all brought a festive energy that made Emma's heart swell. Yet her thoughts drifted back to the headlines, harsh and invasive, turning her and Jake into a spectacle for public scrutiny. "Let us join them," he suddenly suggested, pulling her towards the crowd. "Jake, wait." Emma hesitated, her pulse quickening. The spotlight didn't feel safe anymore. "Trust me. You'll love it." His voice was sincere, filled with a contagious enthusiasm. She took a deep breath, reminding herself that she was more than what others thought her to be. It was time to reclaim her strength. Hand in hand, they maneuvered through the joyful throngs. Kids darted around them, faces painted with excitement, while parents cheered encouragingly. Emma could hear the sound of laughter ringing in her ears, and slowly, the tighter grip of fear began to loosen. They reached the floats, and joy erupted when squirt guns and streamers presented the perfect payback for the teasing she'd faced. "Hold on!" Jake exclaimed just before he pulled out a small water blaster. With a mischievous grin, he sprayed a float full of laughing teens, and the laughter rolled through the crowd like a wave. Emma's heart exploded with joy. In this moment, she wasn't just the blind girl. She was Emma, feeling alive and free. Whether they were the subject of rumors or praise, all that mattered was this: the laughter, the connection, and their friendship. But amid the festival, the noise began to fade into the background. Emma's senses heightened, picking up whispers swirling around her. "Look at them, what a pairing!" The laughter turned to murmurs, and her heart sank again. In her ear, Jake's voice softened, "Ignore them, Em. They don't know you." "Maybe they don't," she began, her heart trembling as the shadows of doubt crept back. "Come on. Let us take a picture. One for the books." He grinned, pulling her into the spotlight, laughter replacing the murmur of judgment momentarily, but as the camera clicked, two figures stood at the edge of the crowd: Sarah and a reporter. Emma's pulse raced. The tension in her stomach tightened. Would she move forward, bowing to pressures, or reclaim her voice? In that moment, a silent war raged inside her. Everything that had been said, every word that had cut her, threatened to pull her back into the darkness. Jake squeezed her hand. "We're in this together." His reassurance hummed through all the noise, almost steering her through her storm. Could she face the world with him by her side? Would they stand strong against the tides pushing against them? As doubt mixed with hope, Emma lifted her chin slightly, something stirring deep inside. Tomorrow could be different, but the question was, would she dare to stand, truly stand, for who she was? The warmth of the fading sun wrapped around Emma as she stood still, grappling with the emotions swirling inside her. Jake's presence grounded her, his steady grip a silent promise that she wasn't alone. But the rapidly evaporating joy around them clawed at her heart, whispering dark uncertainties. "Hey, you okay?" Jake's voice gently pierced through her thoughts, his concern echoing in the space between them. "Yeah, just thinking," Emma replied, trying to mask the tremor in her voice. She could feel the weight of the judgment in the air, a shroud that threatened to suffocate the happiness she was trying to embrace. "Let us go check out the food trucks," Jake suggested, his enthusiasm unwavering. He pulled her into the lively atmosphere again, eager to distract her from the disquiet. "Okay. But if we find a long line, I might have to run," Emma joked, her smile returning with effort. They made their way through the parade, layers of vibrant sounds wrapping around them: laughter, music, and the chatter of friends reconnecting. Children ran past, sticky fingers clutching cotton candy. Emma inhaled deeply, absorbing the sense of fried food and sweet treats, willing herself to relish this moment. "Here. Tacos. They've got the best," Jake exclaimed, nearly dragging her to a brightly painted truck. When they reached the order window, he leaned in, sending a flurry of sweet nothings into her ears, their shared laughter floating in the space that seemed to expand with joy. 2 tacos, please. He said, turning to wave a hand at Emma. Skip the toppings. Or just pile them on. Top it all. If we're doing this, let us do it right. She leaned in, feeling a thrill rise as the food was handed over. Unwrapping the foil revealed a delightful mess. They found a nearby bench, and as they sat, Emma took a bite, the flavors bursting in her mouth. She grinned, savoring every crunchy, spicy note. This is incredible. Why didn't we do this before? I don't know, Jake laughed, we've been missing out. Next time, we'll bring snacks for the game, and we'll be royalty in the stands. Her heart fluttered at his words, painting a picture of late afternoons with laughter and warm friendships. But then it hit her again, the thought of Sarah watching, waiting in the shadows, ready to snatch moments of joy away. Do you think Sarah will stop? Emma blurted, her voice dropping to just above a whisper. The thought made her stomach churn, recalling the hurtful words whispered just moments before. Jake met her gaze, sincerity dripping from his eyes. Forget her. She's not worth it. This, he motioned to the surrounding fun, the laughter and community. This is what matters. You are more than her words. Emma took a breath, the words a balm against her fraying confidence. He was right. She had to center herself around what felt genuine and true, rather than the noise of doubt that crept into the corners of her thoughts. But as they sat there, the world spun on, and she caught a glimpse of Sarah strolling through the crowd with the reporter, both of them casting curious glances in their direction. The chill of unease washed over her. Did they see her? Did they hear the laughter, the joy she had fought to savor? The tide of uncertainty returned, but as Jake turned to face her, the light in his eyes sparked a flicker of resolve in her heart. Let us not just survive today, Em. Let us thrive. She nodded, determination setting in. Beneath the laughter and festive lights, could she truly find a way to cast off the shadows? As the parade continued, she squeezed Jake's hand. Whatever doubts loomed ahead, she knew that standing beside him meant facing them, together. Would she muster the strength to show the world who she really was? Emma felt the warmth of Jake's hand wrapping around hers, a comfort that pulsed through her veins like the rhythm of the parade surrounding them. But despite the laughter and festive atmosphere, a knot of anxiety twisted in her stomach. She stole another glance at Sarah, who was still lingering at the edge of the crowd, flanked by the reporter. They were whispering, their eyes darting toward Emma as if plotting their next move. Let us take a walk, Jake said suddenly, sensing her discomfort. He stood up, pulling Emma to her feet with a reassuring smile that made her heart flutter again, despite the worry clouding her thoughts. As they moved away from the bench, the sounds of the parade dimmed slightly, replaced by the softer, rhythmic beat of music from a nearby stage. Emma inhaled deeply, appreciating the saltiness in the air that mingled with the sweet, fried aromas. Jake led her through the throngs of people, carefree laughter blending into a melody that felt almost magical. This feels like a movie, Jake smiled, eyes sparkling. And I'm pretty sure we're the main characters. Emma couldn't help but chuckle. If I'm the star, then you definitely have the lead role. He laughed, basking in their shared likeness. But as they ambled, she could still feel Sarah's presence like a cold shadow trailing behind. I wish we could just disappear for a bit, Jake said, sensing her unease again. Get away from all of this. Where would we go? Emma asked, intrigued. He shrugged, his playful demeanor not faltering. Anywhere. A secret spot where we can be ourselves. You know, away from the judgment. The idea of escaping filled her with an exhilarating rush. I like that. Just the two of us. As they strolled, Emma caught sight of a group of children dancing enthusiastically to the music, and her heart sighed. There was pure freedom in their movements. I want that, she confessed softly, watching their laughter burst like confetti in the air. We can have that, Jake said with certainty. You just have to let go of what others think. Easier said than done, she murmured, feeling the weight of her insecurities lace through her again. Then let me help you, Jake offered, his voice low and sincere. We'll do this together. They paused, surrounded by the swirling backdrop of the celebration. Emma turned, meeting his gaze. The intensity in his eyes gave her fueled hope. What if they don't want me to be free? She whispered, the doubt spilling out before she could contain it. Jake brushed a gentle thumb across her knuckles. What if they don't matter? It's us against them. You deserve to be happy. Just then, a loud cheer erupted from the stage. A break in the crowd brought back echoes of light in every direction. Emma looked at Jake and felt that familiar flutter in her stomach. In that moment, she was overwhelmed with a conviction that they were embarking on a new path. As they stood together, the chaotic world around them faded even more, leaving only the softness of their shared smiles. Emma breathed in the moment and let it envelop her. Let us dance, Jake said suddenly, surprising her. Right here. Now. Emma laughed, feeling giddy. Why not? Life is too short. The warmth of his laughter drew her in, and, without a second thought, she nodded. Without missing a beat, Jake clasped her hand more tightly, and they stepped into the thrumming beat of the music. Emma felt alive, every beat pulsing through her. People began to take notice, and for the first time, she wasn't afraid. She allowed herself to move, to sway, but just then, Sarah's voice rang out sharply above the music. Emma! What do you think you're doing? The music screeched to a halt as a murmur spread through the crowd. Emma froze, heart pounding. But as the eyes of the crowd turned toward her, she saw Jake's unyielding support beside her. Would she let Sarah's words pull her back into the shadows? Emma took a breath, standing tall. The stakes just got higher, and it was time to decide what mattered most. Could she gather the courage to break free from Sarah's grasp once and for all? Emma's heart raced as she turned to face the growing crowd, all heads turning her way. Her chest tightened, and for a moment, doubt surged back like an unwelcome wave. But looking at Jake, his eyes steady and confident, her fears began to dissipate. Emma. Sarah pressed, her tone sharp as broken glass. You can't be serious. This is not you. Something shifted within Emma. The words brushed against her, invoking a fleeting moment of anger. Who was Sarah to define her? Right now, surrounded by thrumming beats and vibrant laughter, she felt a fire beginning to ignite. I am who I choose to be, Emma declared, a strength pressing through her voice. Not who you want me to be. The murmurs of the crowd grew, mixed with chuckles and cheers that encouraged her. A sense of freedom ripped through her, and she glanced at the children dancing joyously. They were a reminder that life could exist outside of judgment, full of laughter, spontaneity, and light. Jake squeezed her hand tighter, his expression radiating pride. That's it, Emma. You're amazing. Emboldened, she took a deep breath, the electric energy flooding her veins as she turned back to the crowd. I want to dance. Right here, right now, without fear. The crowd roared in approval, their cheers ringing in her ears, chasing away any remnants of doubt. With a burst of energy, she lifted her arms and joined Jake in the pulsating rhythm. Lost in their movements, she became a part of the music, letting each beat shatter the chains of self-doubt. See? Jake shouted over the music, his voice full of warmth. Just be yourself. And there she was, unfiltered Emma, spinning and twirling, her laughter spilling out like sunshine. With each movement, she let go of expectations, the pressure of family, the whispers of the past fading like the horizon, but then she saw it again. Sarah, standing there with her arms crossed and the reporter scribbling notes nearby, a storm brewing in her eyes. Emma. Sarah shouted again. You'll regret this. You're making a fool of yourself. The words cut through the exhilarating rush, like a chilling gust of wind. But instead of retreating, Emma stood firm. Maybe I'm a fool, but I'm happy. And perhaps that's what matters most. With that defiance anchoring her, she could feel the crowd rallying behind her. People began to join in, their own bodies moving in the spirit of freedom. For the first time, Emma found herself caught up in a wave of connection, togetherness, and support that pushed her even higher. Jake danced beside her, his laughter lifting her spirit. Together, they became the center of their own universe, brimming with kindness and acceptance. A world where judgment couldn't intrude. In that moment, under the vibrant canopy of twinkling lights and pulsing music, Emma knew she was no longer a puppet on strings. She reveled in being her own person, unapologetic and radiant. But just then, the cheers morphed into confusion. A hush swept through the crowd as a voice shouted, "Stop this madness." It was Sarah again, her face twisted with rage. Emma felt the joy of the moment stall, replaced with dread. What had she unleashed? The laughter faded, replaced by a tense silence. Emma's heart pounded. In that critical moment, she faced not just Sarah, but all her fears at once. Could she stand her ground, or would she let the past swallow her back into the shadows? Emma took a deep breath, steadying herself against the weight of Sarah's glare. The tension hung in the air like a storm cloud, squeezing out any last remnants of lightness. Jake's hand was still firmly clasped in hers, as if anchoring her amidst the chaos. She focused on the warmth of his grip as a way to center herself. "Emma?" Jake's voice cut through the silence, his eyes wide with concern. "You don't have to, I know," she responded, her voice stronger now, laced with conviction. "But this is my choice." With renewed determination, Emma turned back to the crowd, scanning the faces eager for release from the sudden, suffocating silence. She could see understanding in a few eyes, others were wide with confusion. But some were alight with something familiar: support. "Let us keep dancing," Emma shouted, her heart racing, matched only by the thumping bass from the speakers. "Join me. Come on." Slowly, one by one, people began to sway, influenced by her energy. Laughter trickled back, followed quickly by a wave of cheers. The crowd began to move, as if Emma's spirit was contagious and igniting flames of joy among them. Jake beamed at her, his face alight with admiration. "That's it. Show them," he exclaimed. As they danced together, Emma felt every step pluck at the strings of her spirit, uplifting her in ways she never thought possible. With each spin, she shook off the weight of judgment. In that moment, she was just Emma, a vibrant current in a sea of color and music. But Sarah wasn't done. "You think this is a joke, don't you?" she yelled, her words sharp and venomous. "You think you can just dance away from all your problems?" Emma spun to face Sarah, her heart pounding but her resolve solid. "No, I'm dancing towards them. I'm choosing to live and be happy." The fervor in her voice surprised even herself. The crowd erupted again, their energy swirling around Emma like a warm wave, lifting her higher. She began to move again, the freedom suffusing through her veins. But Sarah's presence didn't loosen, it loomed like a dark cloud overhead, threatening to rain despair on her moment. Complete chaos won't solve anything. Sarah pressed, the anger etched on her face. Chaos. The word dug into Emma. She wasn't creating chaos, she was building something. A mosaic made of laughter, courage, and undeniable spirit. Maybe chaos is exactly what I need. Emma shot back, her voice rising above the pulsing music. Maybe it's time to embrace the messiness that is life. The realization struck her: for too long, she had lived within borders drawn by others, fearful of stepping outside. Tonight, she blurred every line, and it felt liberating. The dancing morphed into a wave, each person adding their energy, creating a tapestry of unity. Even Sarah seemed momentarily stunned, perhaps considering the enormity of Emma's rejection of her expectations. Was this really possible? Could she own her happiness and face her fears simultaneously? The flutter of hope stirred wildly inside her chest. With one last exuberant turn, Emma locked eyes with Jake, who smiled back at her, his joy infectious. Yet, she felt a prickle of doubt as she stole a glance at Sarah again. Would the audience accept her? Would they celebrate, or would they judge? Anyone can dance. Emma shouted, trying to pull everyone in. We can be free if we just let go of the fear. But just as she spoke, there was a sudden silence. Emma's heart sank as she noticed the reporter zooming in, poised to capture the moment. The weight of judgment was creeping back, and Emma felt the familiar cold shadows curl around her. What would they write? What would they think of her? Suddenly, she realized this was the essence of her freedom to choose her reaction, regardless of the chaos outside, and then she made a decision. With one deep breath, she screamed, "So let us dance our hearts out together." In that reckless moment, she grasped Jake's hand and pulled him into an even more frenzied routine, the momentum of her enthusiasm engendering a new wave of laughter and rhythm flowing back through the crowd. But as she twirled and flailed, Sarah's voice rang out again, cutting through the jubilance with chilling clarity. "You think this is just a joke? Wait until everyone sees who you really are." A shiver coursed through Emma, freezing the moment. Had she overstepped? What would they discover when they peeled back the layers? In the lively chaos of celebration, doubt lingered. Did Emma truly have what it took to stand alone, bearing the weight of truth? How much longer before it all came crashing down around her? The music pulsed, reverberating through Emma's body as she fought against the tide of doubt that threatened to pull her under. The crowd swirled around her, vibrant and alive, yet she felt like a solitary island amidst the sea. Sarah's words echoed in her mind, sharp and debilitating, a veritable storm cloud darkening the joyful atmosphere she had fought so hard to create. In that split second, the buoyancy of the night shifted. The laughter, the rhythm, they all faded into a distant blur. Emma grabbed Jake's hand tighter, his warmth now a lifeline. She turned to him, searching for reassurance. His eyes held an unexpected brightness, a depth that held her steady. "Just keep dancing," he mouthed to her, a small smile breaking through the tension. With that simple encouragement, Emma felt a flicker of hope light within her. Taking a deep breath, she returned her focus to the crowd. They were all still moving, still caught in the song's embrace. Yet, an unshakable seed of anxiety remained, curling in her stomach like a tight coil. What if this moment, this exhilaration, slipped through her fingers? What if it all came crashing down as swiftly as it had risen? "Let us show them who we are," she shouted, more to herself than anyone else. Infused with adrenaline, she pulled Jake into another spin, her heart racing with every beat of the bass. The crowd responded, echoing her energy and filling the space with joy. She had a flicker of defiance against the looming judgment, for tonight, they would be a collective force, one voice in a crowd of many. The music crescendoed, a melodic rallying cry that seemed to drown out the voices of haters. But Sarah's warning loomed heavy in the air, a shadow that would not disperse. Emma could feel the scrutiny of the reporter's camera lens. It felt like ice against her skin, tightening as she caught a glimpse of the flash in the corner of her eye. In that moment, doubt was replaced by a newfound ferocity. If life was a dance, she would lead. She raised her arms and faced the crowd, daring them to see her. "This is me. And I'm not afraid." With every sway and turn, she released the weight of expectation, letting the music cradle her spirit. The crowd, sensing her resolve, became a vibrant tapestry of movement. And then, feeling emboldened, she began to sing, her voice rising above the celebratory din. It was messy and wild, but it was hers. "Let go. Be free," she sang, her enthusiasm tangible, infectious. They began to sing along, the atmosphere electric. But within the revelry, Emma felt the tempest inside her. What if Sarah was right? Could one joyous night truly drown out bigger fears? Flickering doubts surfaced. Would the world truly accept the raw, unpolished version of herself? Could she maintain this dance with truth in her heart? The answer eluded her. Every laugh felt like a step forward, yet every sparkle of joy was tainted with uncertainty. Then, just as she was swept up in the moment, she noticed Sarah moving through the crowd, eyes narrowed and arms folded. Her intensity radiated through the dance floor, and Emma's heart dropped. "Show them who you really are," Sarah taunted, the words dripping with malice. As the chorus swelled, so did Emma's resolve. She stepped away from Jake, gazing into the crowd, feeling their shared momentum. "You know what?" she shouted into the void, her voice strong despite the fear. "You can try to define me, but I get to choose who I am." The crowd erupted with approval, a wave of voices declaring their support. And for the first time that night, Emma felt unshackled from the past, as if the chains of expectation had been severed, but as the adrenaline coursed through her, a new worry crept back. Their cheers, though glorious, wouldn't free her from Sarah's shadow. What revelations lay waiting to surface? What other truths was she hiding? Emma could feel the delicate balance she maintained starting to tilt, the pressure of the crowd pressing against her will. Even in freedom, the uncertainty punched through the euphoric haze. And just as the dance surged to a fever pitch, she glanced at Sarah. There was something in her eyes, something that suggested this night had only just begun. What would happen when the music faded? Would she be strong enough to stand on her own, even as doubts continued to swirl like whispers in the wind? The music changed, softer now, slipping into a mellow groove that washed over Emma like a fresh breeze. But the shift only intensified the storm brewing inside her. The adrenaline rush had faded, leaving her heart pounding with uncertainty. She stood amidst a sea of faces, each one full of life and excitement, yet her own felt clouded by the weight of the world. The cheers began to fade, replaced by hushed whispers as Sarah forged her way closer through the crowd. Emma's stomach tightened. Each step Sarah took felt like a thunderclap against her joy, a reminder that this night wasn't just about dancing. It was a stage for evaluating worth, a setting where judgments could be made in an instant. Jake reached for her, his presence a gentle anchor. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice barely audible over the music. Emma forced a smile, her heart not entirely in it. "Yeah, just ready for the next song," she said, though her thoughts were miles away. What did ready even mean? The crowd was ebbing now, a tide pulling back to reveal underlying currents of tension. Every face seemed to echo Sarah's confrontation. What did it mean to fully accept herself amidst such scrutiny? She couldn't escape the feeling of being watched, evaluated, especially by the one person whose opinion mattered most to her. As Sarah stepped closer, a wave of adrenaline surged through Emma. "You think you can stand up and claim your place?" she hissed, her voice cutting through the laughter. "You and your goofy dance. Do you really believe they care?" It felt like a slap. Emma's heart raced, caught in a whirlwind of indignation. "This is me," she shouted back, but the force behind her voice wavered. A Dutch door cracked open in her mind, allowing all those slivers of doubt to rush in, dark and swirling, but she couldn't let it consume her. Not now. Not after finally feeling seen and heard. "You don't get to define me," she yelled, louder this time, reclaiming her narrative. She raised her chin, challenging Sarah with every ounce of courage she could muster. The crowd moved, swaying back and forth, caught in the rhythm of the moment. They tilted their heads back, filling the air with laughter and music again. Emma could feel them. They were lifting her, buoying her against the tide of negativity. This connection, this unity, was intoxicating, but Sarah lingered like a ghost, an unsparing reminder of past insecurities. Emma's resolve wavered. As voices cheered and the band launched into a new tune, she caught glimpses of the reporters, their cameras trained on her. Her breath hitched. This wasn't just a dance, it was a performance for the world. "Forget them," Jake leaned in, his breath warm against her ear. "Just focus on what makes you feel alive." Emma's heart fluttered. He was right. If she was going to dance, she needed to do it for herself. Heart pounding, she spread her arms wide, inviting the light and the shadows alike. With a deep breath, she let the music flow through her, each beat igniting a new spark of defiance. "Let the world see me," she yelled, spinning back toward the crowd, her spirit soaring. The rhythm electrified her, wrapping around her like a comfortable blanket. She felt the crowd's support surging like waves, each cheer bringing her closer to unraveling all the chains that held her back, but just as she thought she was breaking free, a sudden shift in the crowd's energy caught her off guard. Conversation started pulsing low, growing louder around her. Whispers rippled outwards like a wave, each one sending a shiver of unease down her spine. "Did you hear?" "I can't believe." Emma turned, her heart racing as she caught snippets of the gossip. It was like a switch flipped, plunging her into a new wave of anxiety. What were they saying? What could be unfolding just behind her back? And that question hung heavy in the air, leaving Emma teetering on the edge of an unknown precipice. What awaited her in the silence of the aftermath? Would Sarah's words come back to haunt her, or would she finally break through the barriers that held her captive? Emma's heart pounded in her chest as she scanned the faces around her, a tapestry of expressions shifting from joy to curiosity to disbelief. The whispers flowed like a current, each word striking the nerves already fraying from tension. What had set them off? Suddenly, someone in the crowd pointed. "Look at her. Is that really what she's wearing?" The comment was a stone thrown into still water, creating ripples that spread quickly, multiplying the laughter that followed. Emma clenched her fists, a burning flush creeping up her neck. She had worn the outfit with pride, showcasing her unique style, but now that pride felt vulnerable, exposed to the sharp blades of judgment, Jake stepped closer, his eyes scanning the crowd, assessing the storm brewing around them. "Emma," he murmured, concern etched in his features. "Don't let them get to you. Remember why you started dancing." She nodded, but doubt gnawed at her. The music had shifted again, a haunting melody that contrasted sharply with the moments of chaos surrounding her. Each note felt like a reminder of her personal battle, that longing for acceptance wrapped tightly around her heart. "It's not just about dancing," she whispered, half to herself. "It's about who I am." Just then, Sarah's voice cut through the scene. "See? You're just a joke to them," she laughed, venom rippling through her words. Emma found herself stepping back, as if Sarah could somehow reach in and twist her insides. "No. I refuse to be that," Emma shouted, surprising herself with the strength behind her voice. It was like a dam breaking, a rush of water surging forth. She couldn't let Sarah define her anymore. With each hurtful word, she felt the weight of years of self-doubt begin to shift. The music swelled, a buoyant anthem, lifting her spirits even as the crowd continued to murmur. Emma took a deep breath, stepping past Sarah's insults, embracing her own melody. "I'll show you," she declared, feeling the vibrations of the ground beneath her feet, the energy of the crowd pulling her in. With a new sense of purpose, she blended back into the rhythm. Emma let her body move, trusting in herself, her passion igniting once more. She spun, laughed, danced lost in the moment. The world around her transformed into a blur of color and sound, an exhilarating whir that drowned out the voices of doubt. Gradually, she felt eyes shifting. The laughter waned, replaced by awe. Emma could sense the crowd's response shift as they began to see her not just their version of her, but who she truly was. The whispers softened, turning into respectful admiration. "Look at her go." One voice broke through, a spark igniting curiosity instead of ridicule. "I hope she keeps it up." Encouraged, she danced harder, wore her heart on her sleeves, letting her true colors shine through the constraints of others' expectations. When she glimpsed Jake, he was smiling, eyes bright with pride. "That's my girl," he shouted over the music, his voice woven with a deep sense of belonging. Yet, as the energy began to shift again, the whispers returned, louder than before. Emma caught snippets of secrets, mentioning names that sent shivers of anxiety down her spine. "Did you hear what just happened with Sarah?" She's claiming she saw Emma at the bottom of the steps at that moment. The floor seemed to tip beneath her, reality slamming into her like a freight train. What was Sarah planning? Emma's heart raced, caught between exhilaration and dread. Just when she thought the tide had turned in her favor, shadows crept in again. What were they about to reveal? The remnants of her shattered confidence crackled like static in the air, and she realized that the night was far from over. Would she continue to dance, or would she allow someone else to dictate her narrative once again? With every beat, Emma's story deepened, and ahead, the answers felt tantalizingly close yet impossibly distant. As the vibrant music pulsed through the air, Emma stood at the precipice of change. The crowd's whispering had evolved into a restless energy, a mix of curiosity and uncertainty that wrapped around her like thick fog. She felt Jake beside her, his presence still a comforting anchor amidst the chaos, but doubt flickered in her heart. Sarah's shadow loomed large. "Emma! Do you really think you can hide behind this facade?" Sarah shouted, her voice sharp and demanding. The murmurs of the crowd momentarily hushed, all eyes darting toward them, uncertainty shrouding the joyous atmosphere that had just begun to flow freely, but something in Emma shifted. Perhaps it was the courage that had blossomed in her during their dance, or maybe the unwavering support in Jake's eyes. "I'm not hiding," she shouted back, her voice strong and resonant. "I'm finally living." In that moment, the world fell away, leaving just Emma, a flood of conviction igniting her spirit. She took a deep breath, focusing on the rhythm and the infectious joy around her. "Dance with me," she cried, beckoning the crowd. With that, she threw herself back into the music, each beat a step further away from Sarah's accusations, embracing her truth. A few brave souls took her hand, joining in, and soon the crowd surged forward, laughter spilling out like a sweet melody. Emma felt an electric connection bloom, weaving a fabric of togetherness with every spin and sway. She was no longer alone. She was part of something much bigger. Jake's radiant smile met her gaze as they twirled, pure exhilaration radiating around them. The pressure from the whispers faded, transforming into a rhythmic heartbeat, synchronized with the melody. "That's it, Emma. Own it." He cheered, inspiring her to push further. With renewed strength, Emma gazed around her, every shared laugh, every upbeat twirl building a tapestry of acceptance. There was authenticity in every pounding heartbeat. "This is who I am, and I'm ready to flaunt it," she proclaimed, daring Sarah to respond. The crowd roared, cheering her on, their voices lifting her higher. Yet then, amid the dance, Sarah pressed closer, her expression transforming from anger to something more calculated. "You think they believe you? They're just watching a show." Her words felt like shards of glass, but instead of crumbling, Emma faced Sarah with unwavering bravery. "You can't control my narrative anymore," she declared, her heart pounding with resolve. "I define who I am." The crowd's energy surged, a wave of support cresting over Emma as they danced. Each movement became a declaration of independence. She was not just Emma, the blind girl. She was a force, a bright light refusing to be dimmed by Sarah's whispers or the harsh judgments aiming to undermine her. Sarah stepped back, visibly shaken, the crowd seemed to sway against her like a protective shield. Whispers turned from doubt to admiration. People saw Emma for who she had become. A girl who had fought hard and, against all odds, was triumphantly reclaiming her space. "I'm here," Emma continued, her voice steady. "I'm here, and I'm for myself. Not for you." Her words resonated, empowering others to let go of their own burdens, every rhythm and laugh tearing down barriers that restricted them. But as the celebration rushed on, the weight of the evening rested on her shoulders. With each cheer, fear still flickered. Would this open a door that Sarah could use against her? Would truths she had hidden be thrust into the light? With moments of doubt threading through, her heart raced. But she chose to center herself. To dance and live, authentically and vibrantly. She would not let fears wash over her again. "This is my journey," she shouted, her voice mingling with the thrum of music, igniting the crowd anew. The energy pulsed around them, and their cheers unfurled in a powerful roar. With each twist and turn, Emma felt a mystical shift within her. Everything fell into place: the laughter, the acceptance, the unyielding sense of belonging. As darkness fluttered at the edges of the evening, Emma could see it clearly: labels no longer controlled her. It didn't matter where she had come from, or what Sarah had to say. Emma was free to be her own story. She caught Jake's eyes again, filled with admiration and pride. "You're amazing, Emma," he whispered so only she could hear. "Dance with your heart." With the world reframing itself anew, Emma released all remnants of fear. "Let us dance," she called, inviting everyone into the transformative moment. And as they moved together, it became clear, they were not just supporting Emma, they were diving into their own freedom, unearthing who they were buried under the weight of expectations. The night deepened, filled with warm laughter and vibrant connections. Emma danced, alive in every sense. Beyond the fear, the scrutiny, and her past, she blossomed amid joined hearts, weaving a beautiful tapestry of acceptance and joy. As the music faded into the night, Emma's soul pulsed with triumph. She didn't just survive, she thrived, with every heartbeat echoing that she was worthy exactly as she was. And as they danced together under the moonlit sky, a future filled with endless possibilities awaited, glowing like stars ready to guide their journey ahead. In that moment, everything felt right. Now is the time to join Emma as she embarks on this journey of transformation. You need to subscribe now to our channel and not miss out on the next exclusive stories that will inspire and move you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let your voice matter. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about this breathtaking ending. We want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of showing support to keep this community alive.